How's it out there, Saskatchewan? It's Wednesday. SportsCage. Thanks for making some time. However you are tuning into the program, whether it is on 620 CKRM, border to border, coming through on your AM dial. Maybe it's on the streams, the audio streams, crystal clear audio there, or you can watch it as well on YouTube through sportscage.com. I like that winter tire event at RMP, not going to lie. Winter tires at cost until March 31st. Snow's going to be around until March 31st. We got a lot to get to today. All of our guests are going to join us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Just that perfect pizza, generous amount of toppings, all the Greek favorites you like souvlaki, salads. Goodness you just can't make at home. We're going to ask you to participate whenever you want on the Prairieland Rentals text line, 936-6262. Prairieland Rentals, located at 600 Albert Street in Regina. You get to deal with the owner if you need something to rent this winter around the house, in the backyard, around the job site, the farm, the acreage. Maybe you need a snowblower, Husqvarna style. You can get that done there. We're going to talk CFL. The report cards came out today. That's big news. Some chuckles so far in the SportsCage studio on it. Colson's been dissecting us. He's going to inform us and go through that with us. How about Luke Mullinder? Color commentator on our Rider broadcast, former Rider, Grey Cup champion. He's going to join us in about 10 minutes' time. We're going to talk some sprinkling of the day in Sports Select. We will have SJHL kind of report. Drew Kocur, who just coached the SJHL championship team at the Viking Cup and head coach of the Estevan Bruins, will join us in hour number 2. We'll have our clutch performer. Little hint, it's a Saskatoon guy playing in the NHL last night. Finally happened. Did you hear about the trade in the WHL yesterday, the Prince Albert Raiders? Blockbuster. And you don't need to know the names. We don't have to get right deep down if you're not like a hardcore WHL fan. But it's WHL trade deadline tomorrow, 7 o'clock our time. So deals are happening. And the Prince Albert Raiders are making a run at things. The Art Hauser Center should be good. Nick Nielsen, voice of the Prince Albert Raiders, will join us. Hour 3, Eric Francis, a definite crowd favorite out there in SportsCage land, our NHL insider. He will be with us. And the senior hockey report. It's a big day for senior hockey around the province coming up Monday as the provincial brackets all get released. It's going to be live on the Monday Nooner YouTube channel. We had a chance to talk to Kelly McClintock from Hockey Saskatchewan about the changes they made to senior hockey provincials this year. There are a ton of teams in A and D. There's a reason for that. So we'll have part of that interview. We'll also go through some of the big games coming up around the area this weekend. Colson, like I said, is here. He's got things on the board. He's brushing up on his CFL report card homework that he had. But you hear the laughing there. Joining me today on this Wednesday is former CTV sports director Don Hewitt. Can you hold up that book for people watching on the stream, Don?
This book it's a picture of Barney.
This just appeared in the SportsCage studio
there is
today.
Barney right there.
If anybody's missing a SpongeBob SquarePants notepad-ish book, it doesn't have anything in it. I was hoping it would have some like strategies, some gameplay, maybe some plays. Mm-hmm. But it's got nothing in it. Bupkis. And then if you look behind...
Nothing at all. Just like, the person behind the pen writing in it. Nothing in the...
And if you look behind Don, you see over the next few days here, I think Greg's coming in from Piffle's podcast tomorrow. It's we're kind of turning the studio into a Patriot shrine. Until they lose.
Oh, it'll be interesting.
We'll be heavy Patriots here on the sports. At least when I'm hosting on Mondays. Tegan can bring in Cincinnati Bengals and
Tegan's a Bengals fan.
Maybe a Cancun, a Mexico flag, because I think that's where the Bengals players are right now. They're not playing this weekend. And Dave Thomas is a Cowboys fan. Yeah, so they'll stop. They'll stick to the CFL talk.
Dave Thomas, Darian Durant,
got a nice
Sharky,
little dive.
Luke.
Yeah, we've got a few Cowboys fans around here.
Luke, yeah, that is there are a lot. Luke Mulder. How are things? Happy New Year. How was the holiday season for Don Hewitt?
It was icy. And you talked at the beginning of the show about winter tires at RMP, and boy, you need them because try booking an auto body shop these days. With all the ice that's been in Regina, you're talking 4 months.
Really?
4 months if you got a bit of a dent or anything worse. You're waiting a while to get into an auto body shop. So that's the big news of the day, really, as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe that's the business we should be in. The auto body business. Make your hay. That's one of those things. It's like farming, right?
Yeah.
You got to make your hay when it's busy, and then when the temperatures going up to +1 on Sunday, so we're gonna get the melting and the ruts on the side streets because we can't, and it's like it's every city in Western Canada I've seen.
Oh, for sure.
They're just not plowing anymore as much as they used to.
Well, you have to wash your car 5 times in January now in southern Saskatchewan.
Car wash business.
I remember the day when you didn't wash it from the 1st of November to the 1st of April because it was so cold all winter. Now you're at the car wash 5 times in January.
I was thinking the other day I really should wash. I haven't washed mine in a while, and that salt gets on it.
Definitely,
so news today.
It does.
The CFL report cards came out. The CFLPA report cards came out.
Interesting.
I've been busy running here the last 3 hours, but Colson on the other side here. Flip your mic on, Colson. Turn your camera on. Let the people see.
It's time for Colson to do his thing.
What? Give us the quick takeaways from what was, and then we're going to talk to Luke Mullinder about it too. But what were the quick takeaways for people out there?
The quick takeaways were pretty much every team went up from last year as like an average. Some teams dropped in like the overall standings compared to the other teams. But I think it was Edmonton went from dead last year to 5th. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Ottawa dropped from like 2nd to 7th. So those are like the biggest movers in comparisons, but overall the grades didn't change too much, I don't think.
I was going to say Larry Thompson, sadly he's no longer with us. He said right after the Grey Cup a year ago that he was going to improve that for the Elks, and he did. That's for sure. But you know what? It's interesting. Do you want to say anything else, Colson? I sort of interrupted you.
Oh, good. There's a few other comments. Like the players were given the option. This is all anonymous, by the way. But the players were given the option at the end if there was anything they wanted to specifically highlight. And so the PA has a few highlights as well from their from the players that you can just go and read their thoughts and comments. The most commented issue, if you want to call it that, from the survey was that the Edmonton hotel for the visiting team was unacceptable.
We got to get to the bottom of that.
Edmonton hotel.
We should maybe text Dustin Nielsen, our friend from Edmonton Sports Talk, or Lieutenant Eric, because where are they putting these people up?
Yeah.
Edmonton hotels.
And we should say the Rough Riders did very well. Second overall to Hamilton, but if you go over the list for the Rough Riders, it's all A's and B's. Very good. The only C they got was treatment of families. Usually that involves game times, and I've never seen anything going on there that I didn't think was good, but I don't know everything. But the Rough Riders, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 categories, and they aced 9 out of 10. So they're doing something right over there with their organization, for sure.
As I just kind of look through it now and dissecting, one that jumps out, Toronto. Mm-hmm. Coaching staff, D+. Ryan Dinwiddie's gone. Mm-hmm. So he's washing his hands of that mess there.
It's a shocker, really.
Football operations, a C+. That's glaring. Facilities and equipment, C+. Well, they have like construction in their end zone while their games are going on this year, didn't they? And then they have that end zone that's like part turf and part grass, like artificial and real.
Yeah, the one that was split. And I'm not going to read it all because there's an article online at the CFLPA.com if you want to dig into it yourself. But they did explain each category, what it's supposed to target when the players are reviewing it. last year it was 8 categories and they expanded it to 10. They split, I think coaching staff and football ops was together last year, and those are really 2 different things, so they split it apart, or it might have been ownership. Point is, there's an explanation of all of the categories on the article on their website if you really want to dive into it.
I want to dive. I don't want to dive into it. I just kind of want to poke and prod.
Well, Montreal got an F.
Treatment of families.
I think the only F in the whole survey was Montreal treatment of families.
Yep.
Apparently, the Alouette players thought it was disgusting the way their families were treated during games. And BC and Calgary, they only got a D plus for BC and a D. I can't.
BC also got an F for nutrition and diet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a big to-do for performance on the field as well.
I want to know what's going on, nutrition and diet in BC. Is it what is it?
Well, what is going on?
Goldfish and Gojo squeezes or whatever those things are my kids eat? Boxes of apple juice?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't expect this from Amar Doman. To get something this for this owner that's so highly regarded, to get an F on nutrition and diet.
And treatment of families, you think Doman would be right up there. The Edmonton hotel thing, along with their treatment of families is B. So maybe they put them up at the Coachman or the Knights Inn, and then once they get to the stadium and all that, then the families are treated better. But it's the hotels for the players and everybody else around it.
Maybe. One thing that I can say, the players' comments from BC, there's a comment on the meals, and it says, small meals on the plane after the game. The overall nutrition on our team is very below par and what it should be for a professional football team. And then the follow-up quote, nutrition is 99% on the players here.
Ed, you gotta text in more. Ed goes, are they making the families clean up the stadium after the game? That's good. That's good humor.
But it's funny how you'd think some of these winning organizations would have better marks. Like Montreal got, for example, Montreal. If you take a look at the 2 Ds they got in ownership, business operations, facilities, and equipment. That's an issue for the whole league. The dump of a stadium that the Alouettes have.
I like
the stadium is a complete hole.
I love it. I've only been to one game there, but I love it. Let's go to a quick break, and then let's get Luke Mullinder in, and then we'll keep talking about this. Text lines open, 936-6262, Prairie Land Rentals. Also, we're watching you on the YouTube chat there. If you have any comments on that, it is a SportsCage. We'll be right back. I saw this James, even before the show started, message in a $5 sprinkle on 5 NFL ties. All 5 of those games are ending in 3-point games, James. I was thinking about that this morning. He says he wins $1,535 on a $5 Sports Select sprinkle this weekend. He says if I win, entire SportsCage staff meet at Magic Cuts. I'll be invoiced accordingly. No former host eligible. I went to Magic Cuts today, as you can see.
And you're looking pretty sharp, I might add.
I have, my hair. And my hair's thick. It's like a thicket. It's like she gets those... thing, which is a good problem to have.
That's a good problem.
I'm told. I don't know. I don't think I'd pass off very well being bald. I was never even a good brush cut guy back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of bald, let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline, joined by our friend. This guy looks good bald. That's a good look, right? How often do you have to shave that? Do you do that daily?
Yeah, I've now that it's I cut down to every second day while I was on vacation, but yeah, during a week it's every day. It's an everyday thing.
What would happen if you grew that out? If you gave it like 2 months, what would we have?
You'd see probably a receding hairline.
It's okay. Everybody has that.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, I haven't grown it out in so long. I don't even think if I let it run, I don't even think it would know what to do.
One of my best friends had his first marriage, and his wife, for some reason, loved him as a brush cut guy, and he looked awful, brush cut guy, and he thought he was going bald, so he shaved it, and then they kind of were on the fritz. And I said, buddy, grow your hair out. Like, look at our pictures in high school. Like, you had good salad, the middle part, all that. So he did. He's never looked back. And he's got a nice head of hair. I'm just saying.
Well, the thing with Luke is Luke's a good-looking man. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his hair is doing. He's a good-looking man.
I like when he smiles. Yeah, I like when he smiles. He always looks so scowly at me. Like, what are we talking about here, Barney?
I try to tell everybody that, but nobody wants. I try to tell people that, but nobody wants to listen to me. So I'm going to keep that.
CFL PA report card came out, and it just came out a little while ago. So I don't want to, attack you here with something that you haven't heard. But there's some really interesting pieces to it. The one there's how many Fs was there? The Fs on the chart, Luke. Montreal, it's treatment of families. That's me. How much do you know about this? When they're grading treatment of families, what is that to the casual fan, to us here? What do you think that is?
Well, sometimes it's providing a space for families to meet prior to the game, meet after the game, right? And especially after the game, right? I think that it could be the way or the ease of which families can get their player comp tickets, things like that, right? So a lot goes into that. It's you look at, I remember back in the day when we were with the Riders, I don't think players' family treatment, in the entire league was really sort of like a priority, right? But I think that now that, we're walking into 2026, you're starting to see a lot more teams focus in on just sort of the holistic experience, right? And that does include family. I mean, you got to think about it though, guys, right? You should be treating family members the proper way when it comes to pro athletes. I mean, they're making just as many sacrifices, right? Like, guys who have wives and kids, those wives have to be the primary caregiver, everything, while their husband's out making a fair amount of money, but also living a dream, right? So it's always good for teams to recognize the sacrifices that the players' families make. I think the Riders do a really good job of that by providing a space prior to and after the game for families to just sort of sit and wait around, even for guys just after the game, right? You want a separate area for that. So it wouldn't surprise me, though, that Montreal got an it's hard to do in a stadium like that, right? They're all over the place. They're in the Big O, then they're over in McGill, and right. They really don't have like a home base to really sort of build in something like that, but they'll get there.
Another F, and not, to be honest though, what teams? So Saskatchewan gets a B- here. There's some C's, but the F for BC, nutrition and diet. Well,
I'll tell you what, this is something that I've been particularly envious of in terms of the current generation of player. It does not surprise me that teams would get an F in this case, because you look at the budgets that these teams have, especially the individual owners, right? Yeah. Not the publicly owned team, the individual owners teams. Like, I think there is like sort of a question, well, I'm paying these guys X amount of money. Why should I be taking care of the right? I think, I'll tell you what, I see what the Riders give the players now, and I'm envious, man. I love the it's not just the chartered flight, it's the food on the chartered flight, and especially food before and after the game, right? And after or before practice as well. I remember when I first got into...
Give us the year days to now.
Man, so look, this is not an indictment on the organization, but when I first got into the league, the team, and again, we didn't have the budgets that folks do now, but like Toonie Tuesday was a thing. Like Norm would just pile up these greasy boxes of chicken and fries from KFC and just pass them out like it's Halloween candy. Toonie Tuesday was an exciting day in the locker room. Right? These days, they're actually passing out fruit, vegetables, things that build back into your recovery. We were going Toonie Tuesdays. And if someone was generous enough to find a donor or somebody, we might get an extra meal slung in here and there during the year. But we used to go crazy over that Toonie Tuesday, man. Nothing like going out and practicing and then just literally just going and getting this big greasy, and the boxes that sat there, the boxes that sat on Norm's desk or Norm's sort of area of the equipment room. This is when we were back in Taylor Field, prior, because they had arrived early. So the boxes were just already falling apart because of the grease that was just going through. And yeah, it was, hey, but listen, man, it was a treat. Cash flow low, right? That's what the CFL was standing for. But these days, oh man, these days, these players, they don't know how good they got it. And I'm telling you, it's not just the chartered flights, it's the food, and it's, and you know, I try to keep it, you know, I go into the for the post game show. I'm down in the locker room area, and I'm gonna admit, guys, sometimes I do feel like, you know, just sort of indulging myself in one of the boxes of Chipotle or some of the food that they left out there. I know it's not for me, but man, I always want. I'm like, oh man, this looks amazing right now. But I'll have to wait. Poor me, I gotta wait to the airplane to get the meals.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna just say back to Norm Fong. You know, when as a reporter, what's Norm
Porter.
Fong? Yeah. No, but
Norm Fong, the reason the definition of hoarder exists is because of Norm Fong.
Yeah,
if they go into Norm Fong's house right now, if we raided Norm Fong's house, they would find the most lucrative treasure pieces in the organization's history under Norm Fong's house.
No doubt
I am
about it.
convinced that if you want a pair of 1967 official Rider socks, I guarantee you they're sitting in Norm Fong's basement. If you want a 1989 championship hat, I guarantee you Norm's got some boxed up in the corner of his basement, man. I'm telling you.
And KFC gift certificates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in my reporting days, if I wanted to know what is going on with the football team, good or bad, whatever it was, there's only one place you would go. That's the Oriental's Den. Norm Fong's office, we used to call it. In fact, he had a plaque over it. And Norm would tell you exactly what was going on with the team. And then people say, how did you find out? And they never knew. You just went to talk to Norm.
Well, I'll tell you why he knew everything, because he wasn't giving out anything in terms of clothing items or anything to the team. So he had all sorts of time to figure out what the dirt was.
One more thing on this, look, because the travel, and I think, was it BC or one of the teams, they said the traveling on the plane, the food was crap. BC said that. Now, you mentioned back in the day, so when you go back to like 2004, like your first years maybe, were you guys busing at all? Were you busing to Winnipeg, or were you always flying? And
we weren't busing, so we weren't bused, like, so we were still taking the regular flights, so the public flights, right? That's why I see the WNBA players do, we fly on public flights, and I'm like, dude, welcome to the Canadian Football League in 2004. but Winnipeg, we would always fly there. Sometimes we would bus to Winnipeg, but we would always, for the first few years, we would always bus back from Winnipeg. So we would play in Winnipeg. We would either win or lose, and then we would have to load the buses and drive back from and again, if you had to do this, if the Riders had to do this in today's day and age, I would imagine they would have like probably a couple more buses, but more importantly, I can just see now what they would do in terms of like making sure guys had food to get on the bus. You were on your own. Like there was no food. I remember Corey. No, yeah. Hey, listen, you would get, like, first of all,
not even pizzas. They wouldn't even get wheels for the boys.
Nothing. We would just load up the bus. And so as a rookie, I had to learn. But thank God for a guy like Corey Grant, because Corey Grant, there was this Jamaican spot out there in Winnipeg, and Corey Grant would just take orders, and there would just be this minivan pull up right before the buses left, and CG would just hand out, the stuff that we would be ordering. But that was the only means. Like they would just, and you know what they would do? We're stopping in Brandon, Manitoba. So the buses pull up in Brandon, Manitoba. First of all, I felt bad. I actually think the reason why we canceled busing back and we started flying back, I think it was because the Fairmont Hotel, every single time they hosted us and we played in Winnipeg, you would get on the bus, and I would get on the bus, and I would see everybody had a Fairmont Hotel pillow. We'd all take the pillows from the hotel room, and because of the 6-hour bus ride we were about to endure after a 60-minute football game, a professional football game, we were going to bus back. Like this, like we were the Pats. No offense to the Pats. Or the Thunder. No offense to the Thunder. You know what I mean? So everybody would steal the Fairmont pillows. We would have to figure out how we were getting like a meal, like on the thing, and off air, guys. I'll tell you one day. I'll tell you the Nate Davis brownie story.
Okay. Okay. How many Fairmont pillows would you have accumulated over the years?
Me? I accumulated one every single time we got it, so at least 5. And I wouldn't bring it. I wouldn't bring it off the bus. It would like stay on the bus.
You might still have one, and like the kids in the rumpus room or something. You might still have that pillow around.
There might be a Fairmont pillow.
You wonder how many of those pillows are in Norm Fong's basement.
Oh yeah, Norm Fong probably collected all of them. Yeah.
He's got about 150.
Okay.
Well, the reason why we were busing was probably because Norm Fong was taking the airline points from the teams and the other road trips and using them to go on vacation. I'm just saying, I like Norm. Norm's my guy. I'm joking about it because Norm's my guy.
We are going to have to go back into this the next time we chat here in the winter because there's so much to unpack there that I want to go through. But I want to get some current event stuff with you here. Micah Johnson, did you think that it was going to be the end and then he was going to call it quits?
Well, there was 2 things in my mind. I figured that, he's a little bit older. At some point he was going to have to figure out, what time he did want to shut it down. And why not, if you're comfortable with what you've done, why not go out on top? There's a very few, it's such a low percentage of players that actually get to dictate the terms that they get to leave. That I was really, it's really awesome to see it from a former player's standpoint. A guy walking away when he wants to, you know what I mean? And, so I think that there was that, but more importantly, I was more concerned about just sort of like, hey, what would be the plan, for Micah, outside. So I was thrilled to see that the Riders are going to take him and start his coaching journey, right? Definitely. I think that, and if you look at it, that's how Corey May started his coaching journey in Calgary, right? He went from being a player to getting on the sidelines. And I think that the quicker you can start that coaching journey, if you really love it once you're in it, there are some opportunities, right? And there's some great coaches, and it's not just the CFL that offers the coaching opportunities, right? There's all sorts of guys down there that played in the CFL that are in the NCAA right now for some of these bigger programs, right? So I think it's good because A, you get to go out on your terms, but more importantly, B, you've got something that you can do. I can't tell you how hard it is, guys. Players don't understand, especially professional athletes. They don't understand what they actually put into the game until it's gone. And the reason I say that is you don't understand how passionate you have to be when you're in it. You know what I mean? Like you have a passion for the game, but you don't think about the diet. You don't think about the amount of, the rigorous training regime, the routines that you're in literally from high school all the way through your adult life, right? And once you're out of it and once you're missing that structure, it's hard because some guys just don't have anything that they're passionate about because they didn't realize how passionate they were about football. So it's great to see for Micah, it's going to be a transition to where like, hey, I can try this out. And more importantly, I can either love it or I can continue to take advantage of some of the opportunities I'm getting being in Saskatchewan.
Well, now, you're the man to talk to about this because you play defensive tackle. What Micah Johnson's done, say, the last couple of years is unheard of as a defensive tackle. I mean, I remember talking to the legendary Cal Murphy, and he said through all his years of recruiting, the hardest position to recruit a good player is defensive tackle. So Micah Johnson is 37 years old. He's not just all West. He's all CFL. He's all CFL at 36 years old. That's not supposed to happen. It's the most wouldn't you agree, Luke? I'm sure you would. It's the most robust and I think difficult position to play on a football team is defensive tackle for a whole bunch of different reasons. All the strength and the quickness, mobility, everything that's going on. How did this happen that a man who's 36 and 37 was all CFL like this? I mean, it's just, you don't see it in pro football, Luke.
Yeah, because Micah Johnson, he not only loved the game, he did it the right way. I really do think that. And I don't know Micah well, right? I only know Micah by seeing him sort of, on the team buses and in between the facility and stuff. But everything about that guy and everything I heard about that guy, he did everything the right way, right? Like, he stayed loyal to the routines. He stayed loyal to the diets. He was a student of the game. You got to remember too, it's not just with the Riders he was incredibly talented with. He's one of the best defensive tackles that the CFL has seen. In the last couple of decades. That's how good Micah Johnson is. We were all very privileged to see him work. And what I loved most about Micah is he adjusted his game as his age went up. You really saw, because nobody could stop him athletically when he was playing for Calgary. When he was younger in his prime, you just couldn't stop him because he was so athletic and so big. And then he became more of a physical presence, and you really saw him be able to use his physical advantages later on in his career to where he was still dominating. It's a fantastic career, I think, as a guy that came in just as Nate Davis was kind of on the downslide of his career. I think that he's probably the best defensive tackle since Nate Davis to put a uniform on at that three technique position. And there's been some great ones. Guys like Thierry George. I know a few guys that I can think of, but man, there hasn't been a better guy than Micah in this organization.
Okay, we only got a few minutes left, but I want to ask you, Dante Myers, why did you think that he was maybe going to get a long look and then end up, he's going to get a look in the NFL?
Well, production and toughness, right? He's a smaller guy. I think you can see where you can use him in the NFL space, right? Like that slot back position. He's got speed, but more importantly, he's got toughness. There's not a lot of there's teams that are prioritizing toughness in their wide receivers these days because it's fleeting, I think, at the wide receiver position. And this is a guy who plays with his chip on his shoulder. But you got to remember, right? Some of these futures contracts, some of these contracts are just to bring guys. The NFL is like the CFL, right, guys? They need bodies in camp. And you really have to navigate, the opportunity that you have just getting on a roster, but also the improved opportunity to make it through training camp and actually make the team. So all the best to him, man. He was, and this is the game. This is why Grey Cups are so important, because no two teams, no matter if you win a Grey Cup or you finish dead last in the league, no two teams are the same year by year. So it makes the journey and the winning of the Grey Cup that much more special, knowing that some guys that really contributed to that moment are not going to be there the next year.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you foresee the Riders dealing with this? Because it's kind of the Joe situation again.
Well, I think that the Riders, again, if there's one guy you can have faith in, it's Jeremy O'Day. I think the last couple off seasons, he's really hit his stride as a general manager. And you do two things. Two of the main priorities here in Riderville, I think, to go back and repeat as Grey Cup champions, or continue to re-sign the core players that you believe are the foundations of your team and your culture, and continue to build into the offensive and defensive line. You do that, and I think that you'll have the other pieces around you, and you can implement. And remember, this is a team that's coming back with Trevor Harris and a really good O-line. I think that sky's still the limit for the Riders in 26.
Do you just keep a few fun tickets to the side, though, and for around maybe September if Dante's coming back?
Well, I mean, you're going to have a couple guys, though, that might become available. So, for instance, thank the lucky stars that Jalen Hutchins from Calgary Stampeders got signed somewhere else. That guy was a nightmare when he played Saskatchewan. When I saw that he signed, I'm like, oh, thank God. We got a way better chance of beating Calgary this year. But you got to remember, Barney, there's going to be a few guys coming available after training camp, right? So, yeah, I think you do save a little, set a little bit of money aside. But again, the main thing is the main thing, and you have to focus on the things that you can control in this game. And what you can't control can't be a priority. So you can't sit there and be like, well, exactly. I want to save 10% of my budget in case someone comes back. No, you got to get the best team in training camp. You got to have the best team coming out of training camp, and then the guys that do have an opportunity to come back in this league, if they want to take advantage of it, then you got to consider your budget from them. But right now, man, it's control what you can control: core and offensive and defensive line. Okay, winter meetings next week. I might have to bring you back next week, and I'll shoot you a message. Because we didn't get to that, and we're up against the clock. No problem.
What are you craving more now, KFC or a Jamaican meat pie?
What? I'll always go with West Indian food. You couldn't, you could. There's no, but I'll tell you, man, there's nothing like coming in on practice and seeing Norm sitting there with the 120 Tuesday boxes ready to go.
Oh, the heartburn. The heartburn.
I think they still have Toonie Tuesday, don't they?
They have some sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it's Toonie Tuesday, but it's only, you only get a drink.
All right, bud. Hopefully catch up next week.
All right, boys.
See you later. There's
Thanks, Luke.
color commentator on a Rider broadcast, Luke Mullinder. Colson's telling us we got a break. We're up against the clock here. It is a Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. That was enlightening.
It's very good.
With Luke Mullinder. Next time, we have to go in the winter, January, February, there isn't a lot to talk about. I want to go back on some of those, how they traveled. That's a Glenn Suter, too, tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I want... like you think about it now, I mean, you talked about how they're treated, what they're eating. If you're just tuning in, the CFLPA's report cards came out today. Colson has kind of dissected it. Everybody's up. Riders are looking good.
Ottawa went down. You got to wonder about Ottawa. Like, they had a tough season both on the field and in the stands. And you take a look at they're the second from the left there. You wonder, though, being that they went down, does the ownership or does the general manager or whoever in charge of their finance, maybe their business manager, sort of tighten the screws a little bit because the team's losing a reasonable amount of money last year? I hope that's not the case, but you just wonder, being that they did go down. But their marks aren't atrocious, but they did go down.
Businesses do that, though, right? And then if you get the accountants involved, then it's just cut. And, what is the end goal? How does that affect us at the end? It's like you might not find that out for a while. If you're not watching the stream, we're going through it here. Colson found a graphic.
Yeah, this graphic's from CFL Stats Geek. I appreciate his work, but he's got all the report cards next to each other. He's also got, at the very end of it, the average of all of them for the whole league. And then at the very bottom, he compares last year's ratings to this year. So yeah, every team went up, even if it, like Winnipeg went from a B- to a B, so not very much. Montreal and Toronto stayed the same at a C+ and a B-, and Ottawa went from a B- to a C+.
And that's why this whole survey is good.
Yeah.
I mean, things have generally improved since it started, 2 years ago?
I think 2 years ago was an unofficial one. Last year was official.
Right. And so we've seen improvement from last year, which means it's good the CFLPA is doing this.
Yeah, the league average went up with all of these ratings.
That's all good news that way.
Stormy, all players get this survey?
It is optional. Here, I saw the numbers. I have to go find that in the article. But I think it was last year there was over 400 surveyed, and this year it was just under 300. So it's an optional survey.
Well, the good news, if you're a Rough Rider fan, is the Rough Riders graded out very, very well. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're treating their players well, and that can have an effect at free agent time. If the players are happier with some of what we're seeing in some of those categories, they are, more likely to, if things are close money-wise, to stay in Saskatchewan. So it's impressive by the Rough Riders, I would say.
381 players completed the survey for this last season. In 24, it was 495. So they lost just over 100 players interested in the survey.
That means less were unhappy, likely.
Couldn't be bothered.
I got no complaints.
If you couldn't be bothered and nothing's bugging you as much, maybe.
And it's so subjective, though. It's, have you ever read reviews? I know our family, will review if we're going to go stay at a place or eat at a place where we're not from, the city, or I guess even here to an extent, review what are people saying. And then sometimes I find that you could review you stay at a hotel or you golf at a golf course. I like leaving reviews for golf courses. I just find it because there isn't enough sometimes that I trust.
Yeah.
But then you get into it, and some people just love to complain. It's like
is that true?
The door slammed loud. Giving it a D. It's like, yeah, because it's a fire door in a hotel. they're it's not a screen door at the cabin. I wonder with the family, the family one. That's the one where I could really see some hardcore complaining, because you'd be getting complaining from your family that would come in to visit, and it's like, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do this, they didn't do this. So then, okay. And then not family treatment. If you're watching the stream again, but if not, we'll explain. Yeah, Montreal's an F. And Luke Mullinder was talking about the different things that come with treating the families right. Ottawa's a C. Toronto's a B-. Hamilton's B. Winnipeg's B. Riders A-. Riders the only A.
Riders are C for family.
Riders
are C. Sorry, yeah, I'm looking one.
The Riders got the highest mark for training camp, so that's impressive. The players like going to Saskatoon and the facilities there. The highest mark in the league for the training camp experience, Saskatchewan.
They say that setup, and then we talk to Luke and Dave all the time when they're up at training camp, how they have it there and the facilities, and yeah, that's just top notch. Sorry, the family treatment. Sorry, Colson, go ahead.
I was just going to say the definitions the PA provides for the categories. Treatment of families. Players were asked if their club offered services and support for partners and children, including assistance in sourcing housing, childcare, and medical and mental health services, and if family game day facilities were provided. So kind of basically what Luke guessed it would be is what they defined it
Well,
as.
you know who got the two best marks for coaching staff was Montreal and Saskatchewan. The players like their coaches in Montreal and Saskatchewan. A- for both those two teams. So that's very impressive in those two areas. And,
Football operations.
Riders are right.
Riders
really,
in Hamilton.
Yeah, Riders in Hamilton. Riders are right at the top of football operations, ownership and operations, even though they don't have an ownership. But I guess the general respect for the organization under Craig Reynolds is high for Saskatchewan. Football ops, of course, number one for Saskatchewan. There you go. That's very impressive.
The C plus on travel from BC surprises me. Amar Doman. You'd think they would travel in class. I think they're C. Everyone else is fairly solid on the travel side.
Amar Doman, and he should be looking at these things more than a fuzzy screenshot of Tommy Neal catching a football. He should be doing other things than looking at these fuzzy shots.
Forgot about old.
BC actually finished the lowest average. Technically tied, because Ottawa, Montreal, and BC all had C's. But
now you're going to have to talk to Glenn Suter about that, because I think he'll be surprised by this. He thinks the world of Amar Doman, and I mean, it's not all his fault by any means necessarily, but it's just a surprise, and I think Glenn will be surprised.
Sorry, Colson, and if you're not watching the stream, we got two different charts up here. This one, overall score, Hamilton, is an A-, but then that last one you just had up, Hamilton shows a B.
I think I might have copied it wrong, that last one.
Okay, yeah, don't worry. Yeah, A, because whatever they're doing in Hamilton too, kudos to them. They went from a B to an A-, so things are good there. Some of the texts coming in, we'll read those in a moment. Prairie Land Rentals text line 936-6262. It is a Sports Cage. Take a quick break and be right back. It is brought to you by Reliance. Switch today to Reliance. Get $200 cash back with your new water heater. Some conditions apply. Call on Reliance. Hockey, Western Hockey League, Swift Current tonight. Edmonton in town to take on the Broncos, 7 p.m. SJ up in Flin Flon. Larange visits there. Prairie Junior Hockey League in Pilot Butte. Champion Storm welcome the Regina Silver Foxes. U18 AAA boys. Moose Jaw home to Swift Current. Yorkton welcomes Tisdale. The Regina Pat Canadians traveling down the road to Estevan. U18 AAA girls. It's the Regina Rebels traveling to Weyburn to take on Josh Miller's Gold Wings. Curling continuing in Melville. Women's Curling Championship and the men's. Women just getting off the ice right now. The men's, they have a draw at 7 p.m. All the details. Follow sportscage.com for those. And National Hockey League tonight, Canadian teams, Calgary's and Montreal take on your Habs, Donnie. And Ottawa is in Utah. SportsCage.com poll today. The Ontario Hockey League restricted the trading of first-round draft picks to prevent teams from mortgaging their future. Should the WHL implement this rule? Vote at sportscage.com. Again, it was for Reliance. Switch to Reliance today. Get $200 cash back on your new water heater. Some conditions apply. Call on Reliance.
That is a very interesting move Ontario made for that, isn't it? I mean, teams, if they get a run, say they go right to Memorial Cup, they go at least to the Western Hockey League final, there's a lot of money to be made, but then they pay a heavy price. And obviously, people in Ontario, in the Ontario League, must see the price they pay down the road, and they don't think it's worth it. But it's really the Memorial Cup. What's the Memorial Cup become? It's become a tournament of stacked teams.
And ones that can stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, like the grind of the WHL to get there. WHL trade deadline's coming up tomorrow at 7 p.m. We're going to talk about it more in hour 2. The trade that Prince Albert made yesterday could be the biggest one that we've seen so far this year. You have that graphic, Colson. They're getting Coots, but I did some research because again, like a lot of you out there, you don't know these names and kids and picks and all that. That Diego Gutierrez, he's an American kid. I looked up. He's playing at the U.S. development program. After doing some digging, talking to some people, some sources, that kid was never coming to Prince Albert to play. Now,
They maybe knew that too.
I don't know. I don't know if he goes to Seattle, because if you're in the U.S. development program, you need a release from them, or else it's $50,000. So these teams or the parents or an agent or whatever would have to pay these kids. They would have to pay the $50,000, but some of them do get released. It's a really muddy situation. So that's where these kids that go to the United States Development Program, it's almost like you want to draft them a year later. If you could move the U.S. kids to, I guess it'd be 16 or 15, because you could take a stab on a kid from Dallas before we roll our eyes and go, Dallas. Well, there's really good hockey players everywhere in the States. They're 10 times the size of us. But you take that kid and his family, you're going to say, you want to move to Prince Albert, Saskatchewan? The kid and the family might go, no. These smaller markets are in tough when it comes to grabbing the really good Americans, I think. And then now this U.S. development program, if they go that route, well, then you're never getting them, because who's going to pay the bounty or the $50K to get out? Unless...
Well, all you can do is keep waving whatever flag you can wave. Mike Modano was an American and went to the Prince Albert Raiders and had a great NHL career. So you have to keep trying to wave that flag for the smaller markets. But I agree, it's more difficult, and it's becoming, what's the word for it? It's sort of like the individual kid. Like, put it to you this way, Barney. If you got a kid from the U.S. and he's wants to play in the NHL, wants to be a hockey player, and he's got no problems going to the Prince Albert Raiders, he's got a better chance of making the NHL, because he's got the drive and he's got the heart, and he doesn't care where he goes. I think there's an argument about that, perhaps, but everything you said wasn't wrong by any means. It's going to be more difficult for smaller market teams.
It's back to our conversation almost yesterday, entitlement and coddled. The parents at the Burnaby Athletic Club, or you don't even just take Americans out of it. You know, it's like, I'm not sending my child to Swift Current or to Brendan or it's like he either plays here or here or here or here, and that's where it's become.
And they've never heard of Regina either.
Where the parents are making the calls on a lot of, or the agents or whatever. And then I think for Europeans, it's even tougher. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we go along here. And of course, like I said, we talked to Nick Nielsen in hour 2 from the voice of the Prince Albert Raiders.
But you just see what Prince Albert paid to get a star player to take a run at it. They paid a big price.
Huge. Huge price. Let's do Sprinkle of the Day. Sure. If that's good, Coulson, for SportsSelect.com. We got to talk about Donnie's Montreal Canadiens. We got to look at this game. It's for SportsSelect.com, where if you see it at SportsSelect.com and it has the little S beside it, that means you can play it alone, a standalone. You don't have to parlay it or bet with any other games. Bet responsibly. Every bet is 100% legal, and you got a chance to win cash in hand. Okay, so what we got? Calgary. They're starting their road trip. I don't know when we talked to Eric Francis in hour 3 if he's going to be in Montreal or if he's in Calgary. Calgary, Jekyll and Hyde team again, as Eric calls it. They're just going to end up in the mushy middle and not get a great pick.
You know, one thing nobody talks about, I don't know, I don't hear people talking about it in regards to the Flames, is they are well coached.
Huska.
They have their, what's that?
Ryan Huska.
Yes. I think he's a very good coach, and he does a great job. And they have their ups and their downs like every team in the NHL, most of them anyway. But I think they're well coached. I really do.
I like the 270 on Pro Line, Calgary, and Montreal's 190. The tie, if it goes to overtime, 370. What do you think about your Habs tonight at home? Give us the lowdown. How have they been playing? How's everything going with the Habs in this one?
They're surprising me. But, you know, I was watching them the other night against, say, a team like Florida. They're looking good against Florida. They're playing well in the regular season. But you're watching how much bigger Florida is than Montreal throughout the contest. You go, man, they're big. But they're not hitting anybody. Montreal's doing pretty good. That could very drastically change for the Montreal Canadiens. If they make the playoffs, the puck is dropped. That won't be the same Florida team. And they could still run them out of town. So physically. So Montreal still has a size issue. Despite how well they're doing, they've got a physicality and size issue for the playoffs.
I don't know. Calgary starting a road trip. Montreal 270. I like those odds. If I was gonna, I'm gonna sprinkle on Calgary the upset tonight. You can do it. SportsSelect.com. Now you can just make your picks online, generate the QR code, take it to your Lotto Spot retailer, and they scan it, and there you go. Must be 18 plus to play. Play responsibly. Bet on the original. Time for break. Hour 2. We will talk to Drew Kocur on the Viking Cup win for the SJHL. We'll talk about a Saskatoon gentleman who had his first NHL goal yesterday, and of course the voice of the Prince Albert Raiders, as I mentioned, Nick Nielsen's coming up. It is a SportsCage streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Welcome back to the show for Regina Motor Products. Like he said, that winter tire at cost event on until March 31st. Don Hewitt, former sports director, CTV Regina.
Can I interrupt really quick?
Sure.
Barney went golfing in Vegas just before Christmas, and he was hitting drives 340 yards.
But you hit the speed slot. You hit the right. And I actually hit it straight.
I don't care.
Hit it straight that day,
I
Don.
can't hit it.
There's guys listening right now that have golfed with me, and they're like, I've seen where Barney could end up at Allegiant Stadium if he misses. His face is open. So many jokes. Yeah. Right? Anyway,
it is what it is. 340 yards. Folks.
We're going to be talking to a guy right away that can hit the ball that far, and I think he's around a scratch golfer. Actually plays well. Drew Kocur from the Estevan Bruins.
Hockey players are usually good golfers. They know that swing thing with the hockey stick and the golf club.
The CFL Players Association released their report cards. Great conversation with Luke Mullinder in hour 1 that we'll play again for you in hour 3. The Riders did okay again. It's just very interesting. All the details, sportscage.com will have that. And then Micah Johnson.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, just getting it from Luke how really good he was.
Mm-hmm. Well, he just did something you don't do in professional football. You're not one of the best 2 defensive tackles in a professional football league like the CFL at 37 and 36. It's unheard of.
You play offensive line. He went and played offensive line. He treated it like He treated it like a 6-man Hafford Saskatchewan versus Lemberg game where you play both ways.
The one thing we didn't mention when Luke was talking about Micah, he has a heart this big. If you can see me on video, he's got a heart the size of a barrel, and he's a sensational addition to the Rough Rider coaching staff. Just a tremendous addition. Like, they lost a good defensive line coach to Ottawa. Philip Daniels, a very good coach, but they've got a great one coming in now. And who knows more about being a defensive tackle or a defensive lineman, period, than Micah Johnson, other than maybe Corey
and
Mace.
Coach Mace. Coach Mace. So that's, what do you think about the Dante Myers?
Not surprised. I think Luke made a great point. I think Luke really hit it on the head when he said how tough Myers is in traffic. There's no alligator arms with that dude. He'll see that he's going to get nailed, and he catches the ball. So he's got tremendous toughness, not just all that speed and not just good hands, but Luke called it. He's very tough, and that's what they want to see in the NFL. So he's a tremendous receiver.
It'll be
top of the CFL for sure in caliber and ability.
A little slot back inside receiver position there. It'll be really interesting. But he's a free agent too. So, what happens when he does come back? I think he will come back personally, but if where does he fit in here? Does he going to want to come back here?
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier about this CFLPA survey. He loved it here.
He did.
Dante Myers loved it here. So if he doesn't make it in the NFL, hopefully he's back in green and white.
Western Pizza, why would you cook tonight? Go pick one up, pick up a wheel. They got pickup specials around the city. If you don't want pizza, they got all the Greek favorites you love, like souvlaki, ribs, salad, their lasagna. Top notch. Never sleep on the Western Pizza lasagna. Call Western Pizza today. Western Pizza guest hotline. Let's go out. Joining us, he's a busy... What's that? Yeah, no. Let's just go out. SJ reports tomorrow with Benny Walchuk for Chad Reach, Senior Wealth Advisor. There he is. Drew, what are you scratch golf? Were you scratch last year, Drew? Where was your handicap sitting?
I think right now it's plus 1.8, but I mean I haven't played in a while, so but yeah.
You're not hitting the indoor mats there in Estevan on the off days?
No, I'd love to. I haven't found the time to do it or get out and play. But no, we have a great facility here for sure. Yeah,
you're a busy guy. Back from the Viking Cup. Now let's go back to this, and it was I remember it, Don. Remember years ago the Viking Cup, and then they kind of trying to resurrect it in Camrose. The experience for you, Drew, was it what you expected as a coach?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like when I first started brought up in the lead meetings, I wasn't really exactly sure, kind of, even if I would be appointed to coach it or asked to do it. And it sounded cool. And for me being a younger coach, I kind of want to do all the events that I can and try and grow that resume. And then obviously when we got there, I wasn't sure kind of what to expect, and even the team didn't know kind of what like I said what to expect. But I mean, overall, it was an unbelievable experience, right from the rink staff to all the amenities they had. The rink and the tournament itself was super well put together. And obviously when you run the table and you win the gold, it was a super awesome moment. And obviously, super fortunate and happy that I got to go.
How would you pre-scout this? Did you have coaching staff? Did you have guys? Did you have any tape on Sate and Augustana? This Czech team, obviously, probably nothing. And then this team from the States. Like, what do you do there?
Well, it was funny. So when I brought Ripper on, we watched some tape, and then we're trying to find tape on Czech, and I was like, how old are these guys going to be? Like, are they 40? Like, are they a senior team? I have no idea what they are. And so I found out, they're the Czech Selects University team, and they're a good team. Like they've been playing some Division I hockey schools. They actually played Cornell, the one game I'd watched recently, and they lost 7-2. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe we're in tough. I have no idea. And then we obviously pounded them 7-2. And honestly, they're a great team. But yeah, I was, Ripper made the joke, like, so we're better than Cornell. I was like, well, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we watched some tape on Midland.
Let's see it happen.
Yeah. So no, it was awesome. We watched some tape, and we had 3, 4, 5 minutes of clips every game that we played, and the guys were definitely well prepared that we felt, and they asked a lot of questions, and it was a lot of fun.
I saw your interview in the dressing room before the tourney started, and you're going up and down, and I think I know you well enough. You seemed a little nervous. Now, you're a younger coach. This is something new for you. Are you more nervous at the beginning of the tournament or into that final game?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a pretty energetic guy. Like, I think the guys feed off my energy more often than not, and even with down here in Estevan. But yeah, I mean, coaching basically the best players in the league. And, I obviously, it's a short tournament. We did some homework, and, what are some core values that we can do as a group, and the mentalities we want to take into a short event. And for me, obviously, it was the buy-in right away, and then kind of, make sure that we're all doing this together, and it's we before me. And we did all those things, and maybe a little nervous, I'd say, because I didn't know what to expect, right? I mean, and obviously, the last time they won was in 98, I think, or 97. And, we wanted to win the gold. And obviously, when we won that first game and, we had all that success, we wanted to win the thing. And, between the second and third, I went into the coach's room and I looked at Rip and I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, I've been here before, but I don't know if we have the juice now. Like, we look tired. And then I kind of went down for a hallway walk and I went outside and it was minus 90 in Camrose. And I went back in the room and just said, hey, like, this team will never play together again, ever. So do it for each other, do it for the guy beside you. And let's empty the tank and get after it here. And then obviously, we obviously found a way to score late and then win it. Because
you were down 2 going into the third in the final, right?
Yeah, and that was kind of the first time we had fought. That was, like I just told the guys, like, we had nothing left to say before. Let's go after it here and find a way and score late. And the rest is history.
The last couple of years, the Melfort Mustangs were within a hair of winning the national championship. It was quite disappointing that they didn't get at least one of those two. The SJHL has clearly one of the better junior A leagues now in Canada. At one time, it wasn't. At one time, BC would roll over them, Alberta, and some of the Ontario ones, junior A leagues. But what's happened, do you think, in the last 3-4 years where the SJ is becoming one of the better junior A leagues in the country? How did it change?
I would say stability. Keeping guys around, keeping guys here. And it's super hard now with the whole BCHL thing with guys that can leave. And sorry. And
that's all right. You still look good.
I don't know where it went. Like the whole. The guys can bolt whenever, and you want to have a good program, and you want to use the draft, and kind of. Obviously, you want to have good Saskatchewan players, and then we work closely with the Western League teams and try to get those guys that are, maybe not there at 18, 19, and possibly even 20. But like, the league's always been good, in my opinion. I wasn't around years ago, but I've seen it for the last 10 years now, and been being around it, just whether it's a scout or a coach now. And then obviously going to that tournament and doing what we did. Like, there's a lot of good hockey players on that team that we had coached, and it just goes to show just how good our league is.
Let's get into some of those guys on because you had some of your guys on that team, and then you would know coaching against these guys and strategizing against them. Now they're on your team. Who are some of the guys you learned a lot about over that week or however many days it was, Drew?
Yeah, that's a good question. I remember, we looked at our roster and we thought we had a lot of obviously experience and a lot of good leadership, guys on that team. And, like Joey Lees from Flin Flon, Russ Demo from Kindersley. We had a line that it was kind of a joke, just like about like Miracle. When they had the Conehead line, we had, we called them the Highway 39 line. We had a centerman from Estevan and 2 Weyburn guys on the wings. And, like the one thing I'll say is that there was so much character and leadership on that team. I remember the third period TV timeout. I talked quickly about tying it up here late in the game and then finding a way to win the game. And at the last 20 seconds, I looked at the clock and said, hey, you're all leaders on this team. You're all big, important players. take over this bench now the rest of the way here. And 20 guys were harping and this and that. We can do this, we can do that, blah blah. And it just goes to show how much character's on that team, and obviously they're all great players. So yeah, no, that's kind of what I'd say just about that.
Yeah. Just if you're watching the stream, you're watching what was there, 14 seconds left where you guys tie it up, just like goosebumps. And that's something obviously you're going to remember. All those guys are going to remember. Why is this event good for the older guys in the league and for this event to kind of be resurrected again?
Honestly, like for like the guys that I talked to, like obviously the Bruins had said, hey, how was the event? And then when I called them, they were like, yeah, I'm in right away. Every guy that we talked to was in right away. They obviously haven't played an international event, maybe most of them, and to play a team like Czechia and play a team from the States and then play some older programs, they were really excited about it. And obviously Augustana and Sate, and like they're trying to recruit guys for next year, right? So I would say they need to add another team, probably another young team, like a Manitoba Select team or a Manitoba Prospect or even an Alberta team, just bring some more scouts in. But there were some guys that were watching and came and talked to me after about some of the guys. But it's it's just a chance to play a little extra hockey and play with some different dudes for 9-10 days and get to know some guys. And like I said, as a coach, I had a blast. It was an awesome time. I got to spend some time with Rick Oakes the whole 9-10 days. He did a great job as being the GM of the team, and Ripper, obviously one of my best buddies. We had a lot of fun, and obviously to winning's awesome, right? Like winning's the best form of recruiting. So I think if any player has a chance to do it, it's not next year, it's the year after. Definitely jump on it because it's a great experience and a chance to showcase just how good you are as a player.
So Drew, as a coach, how much did you learn in an experience like this in terms of X's and O's, or do you think the X's and O's are pretty much unified through different countries and different leagues anyway?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the games were pretty comparable. Like just even like the structure that they played, the Czechs were playing the 1-2-2, and we were doing the same thing, neutral zone, and then our forecheck was a 2-1-2 down the dots, and they were very, very similar. One thing I would say is that their warm-up was completely different and a little bizarre. I was like, they're doing hard laps that I used to do in U9, like, give the old stick tap and going the same way. Like there's no funnel, and that stuff was different to see. Staying on after the buzzer and like still snapping around and skating. And I'm like, what's going on out here? But like that's a penalty in our league. So just some different stuff. And then obviously like the older schools that they could, they had no chin straps on in warm-ups and no neck guards. So obviously then by game 3, our guys were doing it. And I'm like, boys, like we're not there yet. But like, no, like it's just some minuscule stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there was nothing crazy for structure-wise.
Since we got you here, we got to ask you about the season at Estevan in the Bungie division. It's tight, right? Weyburn's good.
Yep.
Up the road from you there. What do you do here? What's the message post break for your Bruins squad?
Yeah, you know what? Like I've done a few of these, and kind of the same kind of question has just been like, we had a lot of turnover in the off season. We only, I think, 4 or 5 from. Sorry, I got a phone call there. Obviously from last year's group to this year, we've been kind of hovering around 3rd place, 4th place, kind of in that mix all year. We've found ways to win games late. We've found ways to win games kind of 5 in a row, 6 in a row kind of thing. And for us, and obviously this week's a big week for us. We got our whiteboards out and we've made a lot of phone calls. The phone bill is definitely be an expensive one this month. It's been kind of crazy the last 4 days here, and trying to add some pieces and try and show some love to the 20-year-olds and show that we're working for them. And you know what, we have a pretty blue collar team, and we have an energetic team. We like to score a lot of goals. We have a good power play, and for us it's kind of rinse and repeat the rest of the way. And we know the games are going to get tougher and the matchups are going to get tougher, and first line and fourth line and all that, and game management. But we definitely like our group, and we want to add a few pieces here or there and kind of see what happnes down the stretch here. Just
use Ripper's phone because I think Leanne still pays for it. So just you got all the minutes you need there. Hey, buddy, this is I love how that resume is looking now. This is an absolute feather in your cap. I was super happy to see it happen for you, and just continued success, man. You're going places. This is awesome.
I appreciate that.
He keeps getting phone calls. Okay, see you, Drew. Right on.
See you, boys.
Right on. There he is.
He's doing all his recruiting.
Champion of the Viking Cup coach. And the coach of the Estevan Bruins.
Sharp young guy. Sharp young guy.
Yeah, he's getting good at the interview game. He used to have a podcast too, so he knows how to interview guys. But it's, you know what? You watch that final game, and can we play the overtime? Jamie Neugenbauer's doing the play-by-play here. I'd like to know how his voice is after this. Let's play the whole thing. If you're watching the stream, you can watch along. But if you're listening on the radio, you'll get it.
And Josh Sale will take his time as Zach Kane will cruise away. And here is Josh Sale. As the SJHLers change, Sale turns on the Jets. Going wide, he shoots. Save. Rebound. Andrews. He scores! He scores! Ethan Andrews with the winner! And the SJHL takes the Viking Cup here in 2026. What a finish here for Team SJHL. They win it. Ethan Andrews on a beautiful finish, beautiful rush, and it is over. 5-4. Here is the final. I will switch over to my social media gig and cover this.
But the tie goal's just as emotional. Mm-hmm. So he had a couple of big calls there, but it's it's great. And that SJHL. The playoffs are coming up again, obviously. Mm. That is such good hockey. Sharky and I were in Melville last year, watched Yorkton Melville, that first round battle. And you look at the standings, and we got the SJHL report coming up tomorrow. It's kind of a pseudo one here. But there are some teams that maybe are lurking that could do some damage. Okay. And then trades and what's going to happen and all that. It's just,
there's so much tradition and history to the SJHL. Estevan, of course, tied in with Boston over those years, and they sent a lot of good Western tough players to Boston, and of course Weyburn and Detroit, and as we could go on and on about that sort of thing. But it's got just such great tradition and hockey history in the SJHL. Way back decades, when the best hockey players in Canada were the most good hockey players in Canada were from Saskatchewan.
Have you been in that new facility in Estevan?
Once, and it was beautiful. And Gary Bettman even came down to fundraise for them, which is sort of cool.
Your boy.
Back in the day, my boy.
Your boy, Gary. Tomorrow it's coming up, the SJHL report here on the Home of Local Sports. It's always brought to you by Chad Reach, Senior Wealth Advisor, GP Financial Services, and Avisa Wealth. Locally owned with a team of financial planning specialists. Whether it's the farm, retirement, if you need the look at the employer plan, like a lot of us do out there, you want a second opinion, Chad Reach and his team can help you out. We'll go to break here. It is a Sports Cage on the Home of Local Sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. All right, clutch performer. NHL last night. We've had him on the show before. From Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Spokane Chiefs tore it up in the dub last year. We hoped that he would maybe play for Team Canada at the World Juniors. Berkeley Catton finally scores his first NHL goal last night.
Off a stick, and Aspero can't handle it. Here come the Kraken. Berkeley Catton lays it back for McCann. Catton shot, he scores! Berkeley Catton has his first goal.
Yeah, so it was a slap shot from the right side, or a snapshot past Jeremy Swayman, first NHL goal. But, of course, he's not done there. He scores again last night in a beauty.
Catton gains entry beautifully. He's got it. He hits the... No, he didn't. He hit pay dirt. Berkeley.
Great pass, in tight, backhand roof. It didn't even look like it went in, and then... As we'll hear in this interview, Berkeley wasn't sure if it did go in.
Well, Berkeley, you've done a lot here up at the NHL, but now you get your first goal. You look like you were pretty a little relieved after that.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of weight off the shoulders for sure, but that's dreamed of that for a long time, so that was awesome.
You said your teammates have been pretty supportive throughout this whole thing because you've never gone this long a stretch in hockey. What were they like after that?
100%. They've been nothing but great to me, and lots of the guys have gone through droughts, maybe not that long, but they've gone through them and just kind of told me to keep going, and eventually it would go, and luckily enough tonight it did.
Are you surprised that after you get the first one, the second one comes a little bit easier?
Yeah, I don't know. I figured maybe if I get one, they would start to come a little bit more. So that one felt really good too.
How did both of the goals happen?
Honestly, the first one I kind of blacked out there. I don't really remember. I don't even know where it went in, to be honest. And then the second one, great pass by Freddie, and kind of gave me a breakaway and just got it up and went in.
You had a big smile on your face after that first one. What did Jared McCann say to you when he came over?
Yeah, I just saw on his face how happy it was for me. So it's pretty awesome. Guy that's really been a mentor to me. So to see that's been awesome.
You mentioned it being a weight off your shoulders. Just how much was it kind of impacting you day to day, game to game as things went on?
Yeah, obviously it was. I thought about it all the time, but I wouldn't say it was really impacting me too much. But it's just a relief, I think, more than anything, just to kind of get it out of the way.
To kind of have a nice skill one to go in right after that too. The second one on Swayman to beat him with a backhand like that. How nice was that one to see too after having one kind of bounce in off a blocker on the first one?
Yeah, 100%. I didn't even know it went in, to be honest. So I thought it hit the post, but that one felt good too. And again, just great plays by great players to me.
And looking more generally.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool for the family as well. Clutch Performer is brought to you by Nick Service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077. Western Pizza guest hotline. Let's go back out there. We're getting into it. WHL trade deadline week. The deadline is tomorrow at Dandy. Yesterday, Nick Nielsen's joining us from Prince Albert, the voice of the Prince Albert Raiders. Now, you probably kind of knew about this before everyone else, and there was a lot of speculation that it was going to happen. How was yesterday? Is that your first big move as a voice in the WHL?
Yeah, that's the first big one I've been around for. Last year, during the offseason, the Raiders made a couple moves for Lucas Dragicevic and Tomas Mersic, but those were right before I showed up. There's a line I used on Twitter yesterday. I know more than I'm probably supposed to, but less than you probably think is what I said to a couple fans who kept bugging me for stuff. But yeah, I found out about it kind of same time a lot of people did with the insider out of the Vancouver Canucks putting the word out there kind of early on in the afternoon the day before. And then, yeah, started getting more and more details throughout the day.
Was it a complicated deal to work? Maybe just go through the deal for us and what you think. Was there maybe pieces there that were taken off? There was a lot of speculation on some of the players that were going to go back to Seattle, but take us through the deal and what you think, Nick.
So yeah, looking at the deal, looking at a lot of the moves Seattle had made beforehand, you kind of looked like they were loading up around that 2008, 2009 born player kind of age group. And so I wasn't expecting to see a guy like Ethan Bibeau going. I wasn't expecting to see a 2007 born guy going. I thought maybe Seattle was targeting some guys like Jonas Sievertson or maybe Bennett Kelly or something like that. When I talked to Curtis Hunt yesterday, Raiders general manager, he told me that those guys right away, he said to Seattle, those guys were off limits. So, yeah, I think that was established pretty quick who was allowed to be taken, who wasn't. And, obviously the Raiders wanted Braden Coots in a massive way. You give up 3 big prospects as well on top of Ethan Bibeau with it as well, and then the draft picks. I'm sure there was a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on which picks are going and where kind of thing. I don't know the conditions behind the second-round pick the Raiders are getting out of it. I would have to assume it has something to do with whether or not Coots stays next year. It sounds, I've heard rumor both sides, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Braden himself about whether or not he'll be. Well, and it all depends on how he plays, I think, too, whether he'll be going to the pros or sticking another year in the WHL kind of thing. I think everybody expects him to make that jump to the pros next year. But, I think a lot of what took so long with the trade was just figuring out which kind of draft picks are going where. And there's also the fact that, a lot of people were wondering why it took so long. You also got to remember all these players, all these prospects, Raiders general manager is going to have a chat with the families before the trade gets made and let them go too. So I think that's a bigger part of it than a lot of people realize, is just getting in contact with all the pieces involved and letting them know that you are getting moved as part of this.
And the one thing, and I don't know the kids going to Seattle, except I did look up Diego, I want to say Gutierrez.
That's what I went with during prospects camp.
Yeah, let's go with that. If he's listening, I'll be surprised. But right away, that name jumps out at me, and I'm like, I bet you that's a Southwestern United States kid, probably really good at the Raiders. But he's playing with the U.S. development team, which I found out last year. It is not easy to get these kids. I found out last night. It's not easy to get these kids out of the U.S. development program. There's a hefty bill to pay. What about the other? If you could throw that back up, Colson. What about the other kids in that deal? The Bebo and Burton.
So Bebo's been playing with us. He's been kind of that fourth line guy. Last year, he started this year off. He missed the first 20 games of the year with an injury. Worked really hard to get back, and he's kind of been playing that fourth line role all year long. He's a guy who last year during the playoffs was huge for us. We had some injuries later on in the season. He ended up stepping up into first line, second line minutes and shutting down a lot of the league's best forward units. So, there's a lot to work with Ethan Bebo. Seattle's getting a really good player that they can add into their lineup this season with it. The other two guys that are a part of that, Knox Burton, right now playing with Rink Hockey Academy out in Winnipeg, 5th round pick for the Raiders last year, and Trip Fisher, another guy who I know the Raiders were big on as well. He's Lloydminster boy. He's playing with the Lloydminster Lancers right now in Alberta's AAA Hockey League. So, guys who later on in the draft, I think Curtis was on with Tegan Whitco yesterday and said, he gave a lot of props to his drafting or to his scouts on how they're able to find a lot of diamonds in the rough. And well, Tripp's a 3rd round pick for the Raiders, so maybe not quite so much diamond in the rough to say there. But, at the end of the day, guys who it's still future. We don't know what they're going to turn into, and very well could be some big pieces for Seattle in the future.
Are you guys expecting Coots then in the lineup Friday?
Yes, from what I understand, he's going to be in the lineup Friday. I think he's arriving in Prince Albert tomorrow, from what I understand. So,
and this could be an obvious question, but where does he play? Top line?
You know what? That's not an obvious question. I don't know right now because our top line, I say, on paper is had Aiden Oiring at center, Braden Doobie on the right, and then the left wing has been a couple different people. I don't expect Coots to play on the wing, just from what I understand. I think he's a natural centerman. We have seen Oiring move to the left wing a little bit this year, but him and Braden Doobie have been so good up front, and they've had so much chemistry. They played together all season last year. I can't imagine them getting broken up. So I don't know if Coots slots into the middle there, or if we keep things the way they are with Brandon Gorzinski on that left side. Coots, I think, would make a great, and this sounds funny just with the pedigree he comes in, I think he'd make a great second line forward there, centerman with Max Heisey or whoever you put on the other side. Could be Maddox McKegarty, could be Jonas Sievertson, could be Riley Boychuk moving up there. So I don't know where exactly how it's gonna change the Raiders lineup and how it's gonna build, but honestly, going into the Christmas break here, even before we had Coots, I was super impressed with this forward unit, and I don't know who I would match it up against right now.
That's what I've heard. It's like it's hard to match up, and that's obviously what you want in any hockey playoffs, whether it's senior hockey, NHL, WHL, it doesn't matter. Do you think we don't want any inside baseball here? Do you think the Raiders are done?
I would be pretty surprised. I don't think anything else is coming. We made an announcement here just a couple minutes ago, I think half hour ago now, that the goaltender Dimitri Fortin has been released. He's going to be reassigned to another team here somewhere, I would assume in Junior A somewhere. Aside from that, I don't think there's going to be anything else coming down the pipeline, but we also have another day to figure things out too, so who knows?
How lot were you cheering for Czechia pretty loud there in that gold medal game?
You know what? I was, absolutely. I mean, seeing not only Mattias Mann playing great defensive hockey, But Mikhail Orshulak rocking that Raiders mask the whole tournament. I loved it. It's not like he wasn't representing his country on the mask. If you take a look at the back, he's got a gigantic Czechia flag right on the back of that thing. And I mean, those guys got back to town yesterday, I think already. Some photos were coming out, and I mean, this organization's so proud of those guys and how they were able to, just contend and fight. I mean, for Ors especially, those are 2 high-scoring games against Canada, but he ends up with the last laugh against them there. It felt weird knowing it's the first time I've had somebody I know at the World Juniors, so it felt a little bit weird seeing him dress up there against Canada, for sure. It tore at my heartstrings which side I was cheering for at any given moment, but boy, we're real proud of both those guys.
Yeah, what are they like? Like, obviously they're living in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, right? Like, what?
Well, so Matches Man's a little more. He's definitely the better English speaker, better than I am just a second ago there. But he's a little bit more quiet, I think. Definitely doesn't mind having some fun, that's for sure. Orsulak is he's something else. He's a character. Speaks English, but not the greatest of English yet. It's still a little bit broken up. But when you ask about his character, the best story I can tell you is from his first game this year, because he took this team for a ride. We won 3-2 over Saskatoon at the Art Hauser Center. First 2 periods, cool, calm, collected. I think he gave up a goal in the second period on a power play he had no chance on, but played great hockey, not giving up any rebounds. Third period came and he was feeling the buzz in the Art Hauser Center and said he's going to take us for a ride, because things got interesting in that third period. Had one bad luck goal go off the top of his glove and into the back of the net, and you could see him staring at it for a while there. And then late in the game, I want to say like 5 minutes left, Saskatoon's on a power play. They dump the puck in, it bounces out of the corner and over the goal line. Saskatoon's got a forward that's already below the top of the circles, and Ors comes out of the net to play the puck up to center to try and spring a guy on a breakaway. And then final minute of the period, goes for the goalie goal in his first game as a Raider. And of course, ever since, Raiders fans have been loving him. And if you're watching the World Juniors and you saw Czechia playing, I mean, you saw Ors after big saves pumping the crowd up and everything like that. He's a real character.
Okay, we got about 30 seconds left here, but I want to ask you, who's the team in the Eastern Conference, not the Medicine Hat Tigers, maybe, that scares you? Is it Edmonton?
Well, if I can't say Medicine Hat, then yeah, it's Edmonton, especially with what they've loaded up on right now, and I cannot wait to play them Saturday because it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I can't. I hope it's a long playoff run at the Hauser, because I might have to get the milk crate out of storage and come up for a game. Yeah. Cliffy Mapes will be his phone will be ringing off the hook. People wanting tickets. Nikki, thanks so much for doing this. Exciting times up there, man. It's going to be good. I really like what Huntsy's doing here, and we'll chat again here soon.
Absolutely, can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Right. Right on Prince Albert Raiders play-by-play man, Nick Nielsen joining us here on the Western Pizza guest hotline. They are going to be good. That's some good hockey coming down the pike. It's the Sports Cage. Time for a break. We'll be right back. Senior hockey report time now, and it is that time of the year. If you follow senior hockey, if you're around senior hockey, you know. Provincial brackets. When are they coming out? What's going on? They are going to be released Monday night live with the Monday Nooner podcast on the YouTube channel with Hockey Saskatchewan and the crew there. I wanted to play this today because provincials changed for senior hockey this year. I teased it a little bit earlier. Kelly McClintock was on the program a month ago before the season started. He talked about the changes to senior hockey provincials this year in the categories, especially big changes in A and D. Here was our interview on the Monday Nooner podcast with Kelly McClintock from Hockey Saskatchewan.
What are the changes and why are you making the changes, first and foremost?
Yeah, when we take a look the last few years, the number of teams in provincials we thought was disappointing. We want to see more. I don't think we'll ever get to the level that, when I started like 45 years ago, when you had over 40 teams in C and over 40 teams in D and you have to win 7 or 8 rounds. But we just want to see a greater percentage of the teams being thinking about wanting to get into provincial. So we threw out some ideas and we did a couple of surveys of all the teams. We got feedback, and based on the feedback and the things that we had suggested, we made some changes. So the biggest thing is that really started is, what's the definition of an import for senior hockey? And it was always, someone from a city or someone outside the radius that we had of 120 kilometers for B, C, and D. Of course, in A, there's no limit on imports. But everyone, and we took some ideas from a few leagues, the Nautic, the Twin Rivers, Sask Prairie, those type of leagues where we threw that out, and it was overwhelmingly probably in that 80% range that people like the idea to create a new definition of an import. So an import is anyone who's played 40 or more games at junior A and higher. So now it's pretty clear. It doesn't matter where you're from, you're an import. So then we took a look at
your age doesn't matter. Like Belter's 43.
Yeah,
48.
no, age doesn't matter, right? So we started looking at, okay, if we could do this, how do we adjust B and C? And we took a look at B and C and said, okay, we're going to keep the populations, but just give them more imports. So I think at B we're at 7, at C we're at 5, and then we took a look at D and said, we're not going to have any population for D. We don't care about population for D. They can only have 3 imports. Doesn't matter where the rest of the kids are from. They're not people that are playing, have played at a high level of hockey generally, or more local. And so, the response that we got to that was really positive. So, we also included someone who's like a junior exception. So it's somebody who, a junior exception is you haven't played more than the 39 games or higher, but you're from a city. So for example, if somebody had played, junior B in Saskatoon and they're from Saskatoon, they in a Delisle, they could have a couple of those on their team in addition to what their imports are. So, there's a few towns that, are smaller, but they've been really successful. And you think of the ones, a Kyle, a Redvers, an Edam, those type of teams that have, been blessed with a lot of local kids that have played junior A hockey. So I think some of them were probably upset because now they want to play in D, but the reality is so many teams would not go in provincials because they're going, hey, we're a true D community. We just got local guys with 3 imports, but we're not going to go up against a Redvers or a Kyle or a Foam Lake or somebody because we're going to get our butts handed to us. So, we want to see that bottom category grow. And based on the results that we got from people, they were happy and said, if this is the way it's going to go, we'll be entering provincials.
Yeah, I could see how a community like Redvers would be. They'd pretty much have to go A to keep all their locals, and they maybe don't shell out the money that some other towns do. Like, it makes it tough in that circumstance, maybe.
Yeah, it might, but we're looking at kind of the competitiveness of teams. It's really unfair for a lot of teams that are, we think about how many teams in a province. We're at about 115 or so. How many teams are actually in that category that have that many players on their team that fit that? There's probably half the teams aren't, and very few of them have gone in provincials. And if they do, they last one round and they're going, okay, we get killed, and now next year we're not getting in. So, we're trying to, I was at the senior D final last year between Edam and Redvers. There was probably 25 guys that played junior A and higher that were playing in that game. I think they were awesome games, but the majority, probably 95% of the teams that could truly play D, that were really D, they would never last against those teams. So it's like, let's try and make it a little bit more competitive from, the quality of player that they have and where those players have come from.
So hypothetically, and I guess this isn't meant to be facetious by any means, but if there's no limit on size for D, could a Saskatoon or a Regina put a team in?
Yeah, they could. In theory, as long as they just had 3 kids that played 40 or more games of junior A hockey.
If you want to listen to that full interview again, it's on the Monday Nooner podcast. You can go back. It was the senior preview show from October 24th, the full interview with Kelly McClintock. And then, like I said, it's big. It's being released Monday night, the Monday Nooner, and Hockey Saskatchewan releasing the senior hockey brackets and the matchups in A, B, C, and D. It will be live on YouTube, the Monday Nooner podcast channel, so stay tuned for that. You can watch the socials as well, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook for the Monday Nooner podcast. Lots of teams entered in A, lots of teams entered in D from what we have heard. So there you go. All right, let's get to some of the games this weekend. Qu'Appelle Valley Highway Hockey League, Lumsden, still the class of the league, and they lead things. The game I want to look at Friday night, Southie at Raymore, the rivalry. Southie's 5-6 in the season. Raymore's 8-5. Southie getting some bodies back, I hear. So that'll be a good one. Saturday, I like this matchup, the Balcarres Broncos in Grenfell to take on the Spits. Balcarres sitting at 6-3. Grenfell is 4-4. The Big Six Hockey League, Redvers, the leaders after the Christmas break, 9-1. They're in action Friday. This is a tilt. Get your tickets. Get the Yeti Cups loaded up. Head to the local tavern. Moosomin's in town to take on Redvers. Moosomin's 9-2. Redvers is 9-1. Something's got to give. Moosomin could tie him for first in the league. That's Friday night in Redvers. Also, Carnduff at Wawota. Carnduff sitting with a 3-7 record. Little bit maybe disappointing on the year. Young squad out there. Wawota's 5-5. Notikewin Hockey League, Milestone, the leaders, sitting at 9-1. They have a game, a tilt on Saturday. Some good matchups in senior this weekend. Weather looks good too. Assiniboia is in Milestone. Assiniboia is 9-3 on the year. They're nipping at the heels in the Notikewin Hockey League. Like I said, Milestone leads, but Cornack is 9-2 on the year. So Assiniboia, Milestone, that one is Saturday night in Milestone. A little love for the Sask East. My crew out in the Pierogi Belt up there, Langenberg, 8. They're 9-1 on the season. Langenberg in Wapella. I think Wapella's got their natural ice buzzing. It's going to be a good one. Friday night, Wapella should have their imports, I hear, in the lineup. Wapella's 3-6 on the year, looking to knock off the 9-1 Langenberg Warriors. How about Rocanville and Theodore? Another good matchup. Rocanville 5-3. Theodore is 7-5. So much senior hockey in the province. We're getting ready for provincials. It's an exciting time. If you're out in these communities, get out there, support. Again, if you want to be caught up on senior hockey, the Monday Nooner podcast will have that preview show for the bracket release, on Monday with our friends from Hockey Saskatchewan. So that's it. Senior Hockey Report for this week, brought to you by Croft Electric. Crofty loves his senior hockey. Been in the biz in Southern Saskatchewan a long time. Anything you need electrical work done, and check them out on all their socials as well. If you need a generator too, Crofty can hook you up there. And also Warren Steinley, MP for Regina Louvain, always on Saskatchewan's side. The Senior Hockey Report on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Let's start hockey in the area tonight in Swift Current. The Broncos are home to the powerful Edmonton Oil Kings. SJ up in Flin Flon, Larange is in town. Prairie Junior Hockey League Pilot Butte welcomes the Regina Silver Foxes. AAA Midget Boys first. Moose Jaw home to Swift Current. Tisdale's in Yorkton, and the Regina Pat Canadians in Estevan. On the female side, it is the Regina Rebels at the Weyburn Gold Wings at 7 p.m. Women's Curling Championship, provincial style, continuing in Melville, as are the men. The men have a draw at 7 p.m. tonight. All the results mornings with Dave Thomas or at sportscage.com. In the National Hockey League, 3 Canadian teams in action. Flames are in Montreal. Ottawa is in Utah. It is for Extreme Hockey and Sport, home of the price match guarantee. You find a cheaper price anywhere when it comes to sporting goods and hockey gear, they will match it. And they're now open in Moose Jaw. Visit them in Moose Jaw at the Temple Gardens Center there. Hour 3 coming up. Speaking of hockey and the Calgary Flames, we're going to have Eric Francis, our NHL insider. We're going to talk more. We're going to talk about the Zane Parekh. We have to get that clip ready, Colson. And what does Eric think about Zane Parekh running back taking back his comments on New Year's Eve with the World Juniors. Yeah, walking back. You know what I mean. So we'll talk to him. Also, if you missed the Luke Mullinder in hour one, was that fun, because the CFLPA report cards came out today. Riders did good again. Ottawa went down, but there's some funny stories from Luke on back in the day when it comes to travel and eating. So we'll have that also in hour 3. It is a Sports Cage for Regina Motor Products on this Wednesday. We're streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Welcome back to the Sports Cage on this Wednesday for Regina Motor Products. Take advantage of that winter tire at cost event until March 31st now. 4 tires, snow sticking around till March. Get them at cost at Regina Motor Products. Prairie Land Rentals text line. I haven't got to this. I want to get to a couple of these first off. Mike and Davidson talking about Kelly McClintock and the senior hockey changes. Caught that earlier in the senior hockey report. The problem with the rule changes, you're penalizing the teams with local talent. Sometimes it's about keeping the rink going, and it didn't change many of the big spenders from spending more money on the sticks and gas front there. Travis on the Dante Myers to the NFL. Hopefully now with Myers leaving for the NFL, the Riders now have space and money to re-sign Keyshawn Johnson. Terry, Wade, Rhonda, Rose, and Mike also saying the Riders did well in the CFLPA report card side of things, which came out today. We talked about that a lot in hour 1 with Luke Mullinder, which we're going to have again. And you got to hear what Luke used to eat if you missed it. Post-game meals for the Riders back in Luke's day. So still that to come. But let's get it going with our NHL insider, Eric Francis.
Now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the Sports Cage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Sports Select. Getting in on more of the sports action you want is as easy as playing at sportsselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local Lotto Spot retailer.
There, what are you busy on the other computer doing your taxes or what?
See that? Yeah, you get a good jump on your taxes. That's my tip for everybody right now. Get on it.
If you had a New Year's resolution, what would it be?
Oh, to lose weight for sure. Yeah, but I'm not even gonna play that game anymore. I can't stand it. So
the charade.
I'm just leaning into the Christmas cookies still. It's January 7th and I'm still crushing them. Fantastic.
I can't. It was a tough run. I keep getting hit with these ads on it's the algorithm on the social media, and it's the kind of doing the exercises that you were doing in the hotel room that one day. And it's keep just telling me to do this 30-day fit challenge. I'm like, take your fit challenge and shove it up your you know what.
I get that too, because I clicked on it once thinking, let me just look at this chart. It looks so easy. Yeah. And then once you click on it once, buddy, until you buy it, they're gonna haunt you. But I have to be more specific. As I get older, it's not about losing weight. I'm actually at as the doctor says, the ideal weight, but it's just the distribution of weight, if you know what I mean. I always say I have a guy who trains me once a week, because I don't have the discipline to do it myself. And it's just a joke. But anyway, I always say, if you could figure out how to get this little tire around my belly up into a big, strong chest, if one guy could invent a way to just move that up, 12 inches, man, you'd make $1 billion.
It's like all these things. I know guys that are doing the cleanse and the fast, and they eat like a gerbil for a month. And I'm like, why are you putting yourself through that? Is that healthy? Then keto was a big thing. And remember back in the 90s when it was bagels? There was there's no calories in bagels. So we're just we're hammering down bagels. You found out how many carbs are in those things. Are you a cold tub guy? That's a big thing too.
Here's my thing. I'm a big hot tub dude, and about 4 weeks ago, I changed the water because you got to do that every 6 months or so. And I changed the water so it come out of the hose. So it's freezing cold. And I'm like, well, this is my one time in my life I'm going to get a chance to try the cold plunge that everybody's freaking out about. And I tried it, and it was awful. I lasted like 40 seconds. I'm like, that is excruciating. Ridiculous. The latest thing, you know what a fart kel is?
No.
A fart kel? It's this Swedish approach. You walk for like 7 minutes, but the key is to change the intensity throughout your walk. Like, are you kidding me? Like, as if this is going to matter at all. It's a stupid name for a stupid idea. You go walking, and the idea is it's interval training. So at some points, you're walking like a race walker. At other points, you just calm down. Anyway, I'm not fart kelling in the year for sure.
It was fart licks that were big years ago.
Fart licks, that's what it is. That's what I meant. Fart licks.
Yeah.
Fart kells.
So now they're doing it
fart kells.
Now they're doing it walking because it was a sprinting thing, and then you would slow down, then you would sprint, and you'd see these people at the gym just running like absolute berserko at 8 or 9 on a treadmill, and it's just loud, and people are like, that guy's gonna fall, that girl's gonna fall off that thing, and it was the big trend. I don't know, man. You go to Sweden, and everybody walking around Stockholm, everybody's good looking. They're all fit.
Oh, yeah.
They're all fit, and then there's carbs everywhere you look, and Zyn pouches everywhere. That's what it is. It's like that's what they do there. Okay, before we get on the Zane Perek thing, I got to ask you that. I just looked this up. It's just we're for Sports Select here, and if a guy or girl would have went to Sports Select last night and played almost any game the over, you would have hit them all, because the only game that was under 6 that I see is the Maple Leafs Panthers. We had a 4-2 game, 6-3, 5-3, 5-2, 9-0. The Islanders over the Devils. Like, what is that? Senior Hawk? What's going on? Like, when's the last time you saw a 9-0 NHL game? Then you had the Kraken 7-4, the Bruins 11 goals. Like, goal scoring. Is it the goaltending? What's out of the Christmas break here? Like, are we going to see it again tonight?
Yeah, it's like if I'm betting, and I do like the odd game of chance, I'm almost always betting on the over. It's just, don't you find it's more fun to bet on the over too? Just because every time there's a goal scored, you do a little fist pump. If you're betting on the under, every single time there's a goal, you're like, oh, you're so furious. So in terms of enjoyment and getting bang for your buck, go for the over every time. There's my insider Sports Select trading advice to everyone. It's more fun to bet on the over. But yeah, lots of goals these days. And the fascinating one to me from last night is Jersey losing 9-0. I mean, that's a story in itself. But leaving Jacob Markstrom in for all 9, that's savage. And that will not go over well. If that guy hadn't just signed his recent extension, I'd be like, well, that's the end of his time in Jersey. Because I've dealt with that guy for several years. He's extremely emotional. And when he gets pissed off at something, he has a grudge that he holds for a long time.
That's a really, really good point. Yeah, you don't see that often where a goalie gets hung out to dry and they keep him in. Okay, you got it ready, Colson? If people don't know what we're talking about here, we're gonna talk about the Zane Perek, who's a Calgary Flame. Is he playing tonight?
No.
He's not, but no. Colson's trying to find it. But he's on the road trip, right?
He's on the road trip. He skated in the morning skate this morning. The coach said he's not playing tonight. He'll get in sometime on this 5-game road trip. But he got banged up. You probably saw the game they lost. Game they lost, he left the bench at one point. He got rocked pretty good. And there was questions as to whether or not he was going to play in that bronze medal game. So he said today they're just checking him out physically to make sure he's okay. If he gets the green light, you'll see him soon.
Okay, people out there, here is Zane Perek on New Year's Eve, being a kid, showing some emotion.
To show your personality, was it by watching other athletes doing the same thing? Or?
I think it's more watching NHL guys be robots and not having any personality. So, I think you need some personality, and it's kind of the best way to grow the game. And, I don't want to come in here and and be a robot. I mean, when I'm in Calgary, I definitely have a lot of guys that are telling me to give really simple answers, but here I could kind of do what I want.
Thanks for not listening to that.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for that. We appreciate it.
Okay, now you're not in that media scrum, and then what is it? 4 days later, and Harry put it well yesterday. It's almost like a beaten puppy. 4 days later, here's Zane Perek.
Like the other day when you talked about who you are in front of the media, what'd you learn about that, and did you hear from the team about those comments?
Nothing yet. I mean, I think some things got spun out of proportion, and my words probably worded things wrongly, but obviously it wasn't my intent in the words I said, and I sincerely apologize to the Flames organization and my teammates. At the end of the day, that's not acceptable, and that can't happen.
He should have doubled down. But what do you think happened? You're with the Flames. You get it. Was it the organization? Harry thought maybe it was an agent. I heard some of the players maybe texted him.
Yeah, I spoke to Mackenzie Weegar and Nazem Kadri 2 days ago, the day he apologized. Like in the morning, I spoke to them about it and said, like, is this a thing? Did you guys hear about this? Are you pissed off? Where's this at? And they were like, yeah, like probably shouldn't have said it, but he's a kid, learning experience. We'll talk to him about it when he gets home. We're not going to sit him down and berate him. We're probably going to make fun of him more than anything else. You can imagine how many robot memes his Perek's inbox is filled with from Flames teammates, but they're going to have fun with it. I hate that he apologized in a way because he didn't say anything egregiously wrong. He was actually 100% accurate, and and Weegar said that. He goes, yeah, he's actually right. Most NHLers are robots. And I hate that this controversy's come back to bite him, and he felt the need to apologize because it's going to limit the amount of openness he expresses with us in the media and us fans, and then he becomes a robot. Look, I don't think he's ever going to become a robot. I really do think he's kind of like Kocur. He's the most exciting prospect the Flames have had since Kocur, and it's partially because he's like Kocur. He loves the soundbite. He loves to talk. He's colorful. And as much as I don't like that he apologized, it was probably the smart thing to do, just so that when he comes home, joins the team, he's like, yeah, guys, I know, I screwed up. And they move forward. So it's a moot point. It's a mountain out of a molehill. And it's all part of growing up. He is still 19 years of age.
In the media scrum, can you go, this question's from Barney from the SportsCage in Regina, and he'll look at you like, be like, who's your favorite interview in the National Hockey League? Who do you like to listen to, Zane? I'd like to know that.
It's a good question. I'm trying to remember what he told me who his favorite players were growing up, because they weren't defensemen. Anyway, yeah,
he's so talented, man. He's so talented.
He's so talented. He still has so much to learn defensively. That was still apparent in the tournament, but the Calgary Flames knew that when they drafted him. The kid even said the day he was drafted, he goes, well, I don't think they're drafting me for my defense. Like, what a great line. And look, he's been terrible with the Calgary Flames. I'll just say it. He's been terrible. 1 assist in 11 games. But if he could take that swagger from the World Juniors, which was the whole idea, go down and get your mojo back, come back up, please help us with our power play. The Flames are the last place in the league in goal scoring and on the power play. And if he can just help that alone, they wouldn't care if he went minus 30 the rest of the year, as long as he could get that power play going from the worst in the league to something respectable. And the way he ran that power play at the World Juniors, it makes you think, like, how could he not be impactful at the NHL level? But he hasn't been. So we'll see what's going to happen. Listen, I just threw this out there on Twitter. It's going to be fascinating to see. The OHL trade deadline is Friday. And, I'll be interested to see if Saginaw trades his rights, because Saginaw's not a contender this year. And, anyone who's going to take him would obviously have to give up a bunch of conditional picks, because there's a real chance he doesn't ever return. The Flames want him to be a Flame for the rest of the year. But if it's not working out and he's not playing and the coach doesn't like him in the lineup, and they're still in a playoff race, there's a lot of ifs, but, then they'd like the option of sending him back. But you wouldn't send him back to Saginaw to round out the season. You only send him back if he can go for another playoff run.
Yeah, that would be late. You don't see that often where a guy gets sent back that late. What a win that would be for the team getting him. And if Saginaw was going to trade him for sure, it'd be around. You know, it kind of reminds me, Eric, in a way, and it was years ago, and just because I covered him in Saskatoon with the Blades, and he was so talented on the back end, defensively, meh, but that's what you get, was Mike Green. Remember him with Washington? He was a Calgary boy, I think.
Calgary boy, yeah.
Yeah, so talented, great shot.
People ask me all the time, like, who do you compare him to? And, you know, the comparisons around the league are Erik Karlsson. That's pretty lofty. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame. But, you know, yeah, he couldn't stop anything. So, you know, he's undersized as part of the problem, too. So not only positionally is he kind of lost at the NHL level, he can't out-muscle guys. There's just a lot of issues defensively that he's going to have to iron out. I do think in time he's going to be a very impactful NHLer. Another guy that comes to mind is Phil Housley, who I covered here in Calgary, and he played like for 16 teams or something at a time when there were only like 15 teams in the league. But he couldn't stop anything either. But shortest stick in the league he had, but he was able to generate offense, especially on the power play. So you keep him. Why did guys wear those helmets back? The Theo Fleury too. Like, what were you thinking? That was such a bad dome. Okay, what's the word in Calgary after the pride of Macklin at Cole Reshny's tournament? Amazing. Like, for a kid who's underage to go to that tournament and be that impactful, you know, take key faceoffs on the first power play unit, like, you know, on a power play unit that basically set records at the tournament. You know, I think you sent me a text earlier and asked, like, who does he remind you of? And again, I hate doing this to kids, and people in the NHL are hesitant to do these sort of things, but Joe Sakic is who comes to mind to me. A 200-foot player who does it all, a playmaker and can finish, the ultimate team guy. Everyone in the room just thinks the world of this kid and his character. These are things that, you know, Sakic was all about, and I don't know. I hate to do that to kid. I'm not trying to say he's the next Joe Sakic, but that's the type of player, meaning I think that he can do a little bit of everything really well. Let's not clip that and put it out there for social media, because then people will be like, "Oh, here we go." When's the next trade freeze then? Right before the Olympics. What are you expecting? You expecting much there when it comes to, I guess, Calgary and any of the Canadian teams? Yeah, I feel like the big domino to fall is going to be Rasmus Andersson, because he's the shiniest object who's clearly out on the trade market right now. And I think that trade will get done before the Olympic break. I really do. For a lot of reasons, I think it's just time. I mean, you come back from the Olympic break, I think you got like 8 days between the Olympic break and the trade deadline. Like, for the sake of those 8 days, hoping you're going to get a better offer, you know, you're also risking injury at the Olympic tournament. So I think Rasmus Andersson will be traded before the Olympic break, and I think that will kickstart a bit of a domino effect, and I think you'll see a bunch of trades go down before the Olympic break. We talk sometimes music and pop culture, especially when you're on the show here, and I love it. But I wanted to get your take on this, moving from the NHL. It's 30 years ago, yesterday, that Tanya Harding's goons smashed Nancy Kerrigan's leg before a practice at I think it was at the Lillehammer Olympics. And then Harding went on to win the gold medal on it. Yeah, it was January 6th, and then she won the gold medal tomorrow. But I just started, when I read that today, and I started thinking about it, Eric, I'm like, that's the Olympics. It's not some like Bush League, like third world country thing. And this actually happened. Someone got basically a hitman, to go smash her leg with a pipe. Okay, so that blows my mind that it was 30 years ago today. But I've been taught, so it actually didn't happen at the Olympics. It happened at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and so that allowed Harding to beat Kerrigan. Like, Harding was always the second best in her country, and she just hated the fact she was never going to be able to beat this girl. So of the two people she hired, one was her bodyguard, and the other was her ex-husband. Yeah, we hate each other, but by the way, if you're around, can you go grab a police baton? That's what it was, and smash her leg. I set it up with anyway, it's one of the most incredible stories in sports. Now, I got Colson to tee up something. Colson, can you play the clip right now?
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Okay.
I know how you're...
You know what I'm thinking? So everybody knows that clip from Dumb and Dumber. What's the most annoying sound in the world? But I'm going to tell you that there is one more annoying sound in the world. And I should have got Colson to tee this up as well. But it's when Nancy Kerrigan got her leg smashed, the sound that she emitted was, she just kept saying, why, why, why? And that is the most annoying sound in the world. And some of your listeners are going to Google that, and they're going to find the clip of her. It's awful to make fun of because she just had her leg smashed and maybe her Olympic dreams ruined. But what a sound she emitted. Oh, my God. And by the way, I have to add, I can't believe this is all coming back to me. That was the Olympics, like later that year in Lillehammer, 94. Nancy Kerrigan ended up finishing second. Oksana Bayul finished first. Tanya Harding stopped in the middle of her long program because her skate, her lace broke in the middle of her routine, and she had to stop. That's one of the more uncomfortable moments in the history of sport. She stopped and was like crying, and she went to the judge and begged him to let her start again because her skate lace snapped, karma, in the middle of her routine, and she finished 8th.
I remember that now. I remember that. Now.
You'll be Googling that too. Yeah.
It's crazy that it hasn't. Look, I wanted to play the clip. Too bad. In sports,
I should have teed that up.
In sports, you think that would happen more, especially back in the day when there wasn't phones everywhere and video surveillance, and it was like, how do we beat these guys? We got to get their goalie. We got to get their goalie out of the picture.
Did I nail that? That's not.
We're bad
Why?
people. Why? I can't even laughing at that. Why do we get together twice a week?
Yeah, you know what? You're right. That's not funny. Let's just scrap that last 10 minutes. That didn't count.
I want to go home and watch Dumb and Dumber now.
Dumb and Dumber, then watch Nancy Kerrigan, then watch the skate lace snapping in the middle of her ill-fated. And it'd be the last time you ever watch figure skating. I swear to God.
Cam Neely and Dumb and Dumber. Couple of Boilermakers. Seabass. Yes. The boys are going to pay for it. All right, man. We'll talk Friday. We'll do this again. We'll have to come up with something else stupid.
Yeah, that was fun. But give me something else that happened 30 years ago. That was awesome.
Okay.
Somehow I remember it like it was yesterday.
Have a good night. Take the over tonight.
Over, yes. Why? Why?
Eric Francis is brought to you by Sports Select. Visit your local Lotto Spot retailer now. You can get your picks done on your phone, online. They scan the QR code, or you can fill out the forms like you used to. Every bet's 100% legal, winning cash in hand. Bet on the original, must be 18 plus to play. I like that over tonight. Montreal and Calgary. It is a Sports Cage still to come. Luke Mullinder will come back with the ticker. Stay tuned. The provincial curling championships ongoing in Melville. The men getting ready for a 7 p.m. draw tonight. Dustin Kaltoff against Michael Kars, Stephen Laycock, Tyler Hartung. Couple of the battles going on tonight. All the details with Dave Thomas tomorrow morning in sports or sportscage.com. Hockey, Swift Current Broncos home to the Edmonton Oil Kings. SJ, LaRondes in Flin Flon. Prairie Junior Hockey League Pilot Butte home to the Regina Silver Foxes. AAA Midget, Regina Pat Canadians down in Estevan. Tisdale's in Yorkton. Swift Current is in Moose Jaw. AAA Girls tonight, Weyburn Goldwings welcoming the Regina Rebels. And the Canadian teams in action in the NHL, Calgary's in Montreal, Ottawa at Utah. It's for Steelcraft Doors in Regina. Made in Western Canada for Western Canada. If you need a garage door, they got a 40,000 square foot facility now and can get you hooked up. Regina Steelcraft Doors. Oh, Prairie Land Rentals text line. And my personal phone blowing up. Classic after Eric Francis. Derek on the text line says, leaving work on my way to the Optimist. That was the best 15 minutes of radio ever. Rob texts in, why? Ray says, I can't believe you guys just did that bit. I can't stop laughing. Yeah, it's, you never know when Eric Francis comes on what's going to happen. This was really funny earlier in the show in hour one. It's coming up. Luke Mullinder and some of the eating habits that they had back in his day with the Riders on the day that the CFLPA put out their report card. That's coming up after the break. It's a Sports Cage streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com.